The book of the Hebrews. In the past, Elohim spoke to our forefathers through the prophets at many times and in various ways. But in these last days, He has spoken to us by His Son, whom He appointed heirs of all things, and through whom He made the universe. The Son is the radiance of Elohim's glory and the exact representation of His being, sustaining all things by His powerful word. After He had provided purification for sins, He sat down at the right hand of the Majesty in heaven. So He became much more superior to the Malachim, as the name He has inherited is superior to theirs. For to which of the Malachim did Elohim ever say, "You are my son, today I have become your father"? Or again, "I will be his father, and he will be my son"? And again, when Elohim bring his firstborn into the world, he says, "Let all Elohim's Malachim worship him." In speaking of the Malachim, he says, "He makes his Malachim winds, his servants flame of fire." But about the Son, he says, "Your throne, O Elohim, will last forever and ever, and righteousness will be the emblem of your kingdom. You have loved righteousness and hated wickedness. Therefore, Elohim, your Elohe has set you above your companions by anointing you with the oil of joy." He also says, "In the beginning, O Yahweh, you laid the foundation of the earth. And the heavens are the work of your hands. They will perish, but you remain. They will all wear out like a garment. You will roll them up like a robe. Like a garment they will be changed. But you remain the same, and your years will never end." To which of the Malachim did Yahweh ever say, "Sit at my right hand until I make your enemies a footstool for your feet"? Are not all Malachim ministering Ruah, sent to serve those who will inherit salvation? Chapter 2. We must pay more careful attention, therefore, to what we have heard, so that we do not drift away. For if the message spoken by Malachim was binding, and every violation and disobedience receives its just punishment, how shall we escape if we ignore such a great salvation? This salvation, which was first announced by Yeshua, was confirmed to us by those who heard him. Elohim also testified to it by signs, wonders, and various miracles, and gift of Ruach HaKodesh, distributed according to his will. Is it not to Malachim that he has subjected the world to come, about which we are speaking? But there is a place where someone has testified, "What is a man that you are mindful of him, the Son of Man that you care for him? You made him a little lower than the Malachim. You crown him with glory and honor, and put everything under his feet." In putting everything under him, Elohim left nothing that is not subject to him. Yet at present, we do not see everything subject to him. But we see Yeshua, who was made a little lower than the Malachim, now crowned with glory and honor, because he suffered death, so that by the grace of Elohim, he might taste death for everyone. In bringing many sons to glory, it was fitting that Elohim, for whom and through whom everything exists, should make the author of their salvation perfect through suffering. Both the one who makes men Kodesh and those who are made Kodesh are of the same family. So Yeshua is not ashamed to call them brothers. He says, I will declare your name to my brothers. In the presence of congregation, I will sing your praises. And again, I will put my trust in him. And again he says, here I am. Here am I, and the children Elohim has given me. Since the children have flesh and blood, he too shared in their humanity, so that by his death he might destroy him who holds the power of death, that is, the devil, and free those who all their lives were held in slavery by Satan, their fear of death. For surely it is not Malachim he helps, but Abraham's descendant. For this reason, he had to be made like his brothers in every way, in order that he might become a merciful and a faithful high priest in the service to Elohim, and that he might make atonement for the sins of the people, because he himself suffered when he was tempted. He is able to help those who are being tempted. Chapter 3. Yeshua of greater honor than Moses. Verse 1. Therefore, Kodesh brothers, who share in the heavenly calling, fix your thought on Yeshua, the apostle and high priest whom we confess. He was faithful to the one who appointed him, just as Moses was faithful to all Elohim's house. Yeshua has been found worthy of greater honor than Moses, just as the builder of the house has greater honor than the house itself. For every house is built by someone, but Elohim is the builder of everything. Moses was faithful as a servant in all Elohim's house, testifying to what would be said in the future. But Mashiach is faithful as a son over Elohim's house, and we are his house if we hold on to our courage and the hope to which we boast. So, as the Ruach HaKodesh says, today, if you hear his voice, do not harden your hearts, as you did in the rebellion during the time of your testing in the desert, where your fathers tested and tried me, and for 40 years saw what I did. That is why I was angry with that generation, and I said, their hearts are always going astray, and they have not known my ways. So I declare on oath in my anger, they shall never enter my rest. See to it, brothers, that none of you has a sinful, unbelieving heart that turns away from the living Elohim. But encourage one another daily, as long as it is called today, so that none of you may be hardened by sin's deceitfulness. We have come to share in Mashiach if we hold firmly till the end the confidence we had at first. As has just been said, today, if you hear his voice, do not harden your hearts as you did in the rebellion. Who were they who heard and rebelled? Were they not all those Moses led of Egypt? And with whom was he angry for 40 years? Was it not with those who sinned, whose bodies fell in the desert? And to whom did Elohim swear that they would never enter his rest, if not to those who disobeyed? So we see that they were not able to enter because of their disbelief. Chapter 4. A Sabbath rest for the people of Elohim. Verse 1. Therefore, since the promise of entering his rest still stands, let us be careful that none of you be found to have fallen short of it. For we also have had the Torah or the gospel preached to us just as they did. But the message they heard was of no value to them, because those who heard did not combine it with faith or belief. Now we who have believed enter that rest, just as Elohim has said. So I declare on oath in my anger, they shall never enter my rest. And yet his work has been finished since the creation of the world. For somewhere he has spoken about the seventh day in these words. And on the seventh day, Elohim rested from all his work. And again, in the passage above, he says, they shall never enter my rest. It still remains that some will enter that rest. And those who formerly had the Torah or the gospel preached to them did not go in because of their disobedience. Therefore, Elohim again set a certain day, calling it today, when a long time later he spoke through David, as was said before, today, if you hear his voice, do not harden your heart. If Joshua has given them rest, Elohim would not have spoken later about another day. There remained then a Sabbath rest for the people of Elohim. For anyone who enter Elohim's rest also rests from his work, just as Elohim did from his. Let us therefore make every effort to enter that rest, so that no one will fall by following their example of disobedience. For the word of Elohim is living and active, sharper than any double-edged sword, piercing to the division of the body and ruah, joint and marrow. It judges the thoughts and attitudes of the heart. Nothing in all creation is hidden from Elohim's sight. Everything is uncovered and laid bare before the eyes of him to whom we must give account. Therefore, since we have a great high priest who has gone through the heavens, Yeshua, the Son of Elohim, let us hold firmly to the belief we profess. For we do not have a high priest who is unable to sympathize with our weakness, but we have one who has been tempted in every way, just as we are, yet was without sin. Let us then approach the throne of grace with confidence, so that we may receive kindness and find favor to help us in our time of need.